to ask the Honourable Prime Minister, Minister of Home Affairs, External Communication and National Development Unit, Minister of Finance and Economic Development, whether, in regard to his recent mission to the Republic of India, he will provide full details thereof, indicating the dollar credit line agreement signed during his visit, and table a copy thereof. B, the terms and conditions of the redeemable preference shares to be issued. And C, the infrastructural works to be carried out in the Agaléga Islands, indicating the estimated cost.
Madam Speaker, as the House is aware, I was on a state visit to India on 26th and 27th of May 2017. The details of the outcome of my visit were highlighted in the press communique issued after the Cabinet meeting on 2nd of June 2017. Madam Speaker, during my state visit, I was accompanied by the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Energy and Public Utilities, who had fruitful discussions with his counterpart, the Minister of State with independent charge for power, coal, new and renewable energy, and mines. He also had discussions with other energy institutions on possible areas of cooperation. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, a dollar credit line agreement was signed on the 27th of May 2017 between the State Bank of Mauritius Infrastructure Development Company Limited and the Export-Import Bank of India for an amount of 500 million USD. The purpose of the credit is for the SBM, Mauritius Infrastructure Development Company Limited, to subscribe in redeemable preference shares to be issued by public sector special purpose vehicles to implement the following infrastructure and development projects: Metro Express project by Metro Express Limited, construction of social housing units by National Housing Development Company Limited, construction of 2 towers by Landscope Mauritius Limited to accommodate government offices, and water and energy projects by SPVs to be set up. The dollar credit line of 500 million USD bears an annual interest rate of 1.8% with a repayment period of 20 years, including a moratorium of 7 years for capital. The interest accrued during this period will be capitalized and becomes payable upon completion of projects or 7 years, whichever is earlier. Capital and interest will be repayable in 26 equal semi-annual installments after the grace period of 7 years. It is proposed that government will guarantee the repayment of 1 semi-annual installment at a time in case of default by the respective SPVs. No guarantee document has yet been signed. Madam Speaker, I would like to make it clear that a loan should be evaluated by its effective cost and not merely by its interest rate. The cost of borrowing on the local market for 20 years is around 6.5%. Thus, even with an annual appreciation of 3% of the dollar, the servicing of the dollar credit line will still be lower than borrowing in Mauritian rupees. Moreover, the line of credit comes with a moratorium period of 7 years and the interest rate is fixed for the 20-year period. Long-term line of credit usually carries a variable rate of interest and the tendency is for the interest rate to increase. The House may note that at the beginning of this week, the US Federal Reserve has increased its base rate by 25 basis points, and there are expectations of further increases in interest rate level in the future. Borrowing locally in rupees will not help because we will have in any way to purchase foreign currencies to make disbursements for imports. If we don't get the foreign currencies from abroad, we will have to use our foreign currency reserve to make those payments, hence depleting our foreign currency reserve. Madam Speaker, we are here talking of project financing with a high import content, meaning that implementation of the projects will have to be financed with foreign currencies, and most of the foreign currencies borrowed will not stay in our banking system, but will be used for payments of imports. This means that the line of credit will have a limited impact on excess liquidity in our banking system. I would also like to point out that major infrastructural developments are envisaged by the public sector over the medium term. In fact, some 74 billion rupees are planned to be invested by government and a further 43 billion rupees by public enterprises over the next 3 years. Financing of this massive investment from local sources alone would neither have been sufficient nor possible. In fact, relying only on the local market would have crowded out the private sector and also public corporations of their credit requirements. This would also have led to sharp increase in yields on government securities with consequential increase in the cost of public debt servicing. Madam Speaker, the agreements between the SBM, Mauritius Infrastructure Development Company Limited, and the SPVs, together with the guarantee documents, will be tabled in the National Assembly once signed. Concerning the dollar credit line agreement between Exim Bank of India and SBM Mauritius Infrastructure Development Company Limited, it is not proposed to table copies thereof now. Madam Speaker, concerning Part B, discussions are now underway between SBM Mauritius Infrastructure Development Company Limited and the SPVs concerned to work out the terms and conditions of the redeemable preference shares. Madam Speaker, I wish to clarify a point that was raised by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition as to why redeemable preference shares are not included in the public sector debt. According to the IMF Government Finance Statistics Manual 2014, redeemable preference shares are classified as equity and not debt. Madam Speaker, in regard to Part C of the question, it is relevant to point out that the Agaléga airstrip of 1,300 meters long and 30 meters wide was constructed during the years 1984-85 and is made up of compacted corals. As from 1998, the surface of the airstrip started to deteriorate, with small pebbles coming off from the surface. In 1999, some remediable works were carried out to resurface the airstrip, but unfortunately, the bitumen materials used did not adhere to the surface, and over time, it started to peel off. In view of the bad state of the airstrip, the Civil Aviation Department had since then not authorized the landing of commercial planes. Since 2003, several initiatives for the upgrading of the airstrip at Agaléga have not been successful. Access by sea to Agaléga is also severely constrained owing to inadequate infrastructure and facilities, as there is no proper jetty on the island for embarkation and disembarkation of passengers and cargo. The possibility of the Indian government providing assistance to upgrade the airstrip in Agaléga has been raised with the Indian side on several occasions since 2005. In March 2014, the Indian authorities proposed that the government of Mauritius may consider designating a suitable implementing agency for preparing a detailed project report for the implementation of infrastructural works in Agaléga and for overseeing the overall implementation of the project. Setting up of a joint project monitoring committee consisting of representatives of both India and Mauritius to oversee and monitor the implementation of the project as well as to monitor progress made by the implementing agency. The Indian side also agreed to consider deputing relevant technical experts as and when required to assist and work with the implementing agency for the preparation of the detailed project report up to the final implementation of the project. As suggested by the Indian side, the Joint Project Monitoring Committee was set up in April 2014 at the Ministry of Local Government and Outer Islands and comprised of the following: the then Honourable Minister of Local Government and Outer Islands as chairperson, the Secretary to Cabinet and Head of Civil Service, His Excellency the Indian High Commissioner, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Local Government and Outer Islands, the Commandant, National Coast Guard, the Director, Civil Aviation Department, the Director General, Mauritius Ports Authority, and the Chief Executive Officer, Airports of Mauritius Company Limited. Furthermore, a technical committee was set up under the chair of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Local Government and Outer Islands, and comprised representatives of various ministries and the Indian High Commission. The technical committee was tasked with the responsibility of preparing the technical documents, including drawings, designs, and specifications for the implementation of the various infrastructures of the project, that is the jetty and the airstrip and other associated buildings. Being given that the Mauritius side had no technical expertise in those specific areas, the Indian side was invited to consider commissioning a full-scale technical study. In August 2014, 3 Indian technical experts proceeded to Agaléga for the preparation of a comprehensive work plan for the implementation of the project. In parallel, following discussions at the level of the Joint Project Monitoring Committee, a draft memorandum of understanding for the development of air and sea transportation facilities in Agaléga was prepared for consideration by both sides. Subsequently, both sides finalized the memorandum of understanding, which was approved by the then government on 31st of October 2014. During the state visit of His Excellency Shri Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, to Mauritius in March 2015, the Memorandum of Understanding, which was already approved by the then government in October 2014, was signed between Mauritius and India for the improvement in sea and air transportation facilities at Agaléga. The House will recall that a copy of the MOU was laid on the table of the National Assembly on 31st of March 2015 during the reply made to the private notice question on Agaléga. The MOU, inter alia, provides that the project shall be carried out under a government-to-government arrangement for which funds to the tune of 18 million USD would be made available under the financial grant by the Government of the Republic of India to the Government of the Republic of Mauritius. Any requirement for additional funds would be met through supplementary arrangements between the two governments. Since the signature of the MOU in March 2015, the Joint Project Monitoring Committee, initially co-chaired by the Minister of Ocean Economy, Marine Resources, Fisheries and Shipping, and subsequently by the Minister of Local Government and Outer Islands on the Mauritius side, and the High Commissioner of India on the Indian side, has had several meetings to oversee and monitor progress in the implementation of the project. I am informed that following extensive discussions at the level of the Joint Project Monitoring Committee, the Indian side commissioned an Indian firm for the preparation of a detailed project report and detailed engineering design report for the development of infrastructure on Agaléga Islands. The Indian firm has completed its assignment, and in its detailed project report, it has included the following proposed facilities for the long-term development of Agaléga. 1. Construction of a new runway of 3,000 meters along with associated aircraft movement, AIA, to facilitate operations of B737-900 and Airbus 321 type of aircraft. 2. Jetty infrastructure for berthing and movement of ships of length 149 meters and drawing draft of 9 meters. And 3. Development of other associated support infrastructure such as maritime and air traffic control buildings, hangar, passenger terminal building, desalination plant, as well as electricity, water, and sewage systems. The Indian side has confirmed that India will fully finance and construct the Agaléga project. On the 16th of May 2017, the detailed project report was examined by the Joint Project Monitoring Committee, co-chaired by the Honourable Minister of Local Government and Outer Islands and His Excellency Mr. Abhay Thakur, High Commissioner of India. Following a preliminary examination of the detailed project report, the Joint Project Monitoring Committee has, inter alia, highlighted that the design parameters contained therein for both the runway and the jetty have taken into account the present and future requirements of the Mauritian authorities. Madam Speaker, since the Agaléga project will be entirely financed by the Government of the Republic of India, its procurement process will be the responsibility of the Government of the Republic of India. I am informed that the Indian side is in the process of preparing the necessary documents for launching of expressions of interest for the construction of the infrastructural works in Agaléga. The final cost estimates of such works will be known only after valuation of the expressions of interest by the Indian authorities. Madam Speaker, Mauritius is defined as including the islands of Mauritius, Rodrigues, Agaléga, Tremblay, Carajos, and the Chagos Archipelago, including Diego Garcia, and any other island comprised in the state of Mauritius in section 111 of the Constitution. Let me state in unequivocal terms that it has never been and it will never be the intention of this government to cede Agaléga to any foreign country. The Agaléga Islands will always be an integral part of our territory. Let me also reaffirm most emphatically the commitment of my government to ensure that the territorial integrity and sovereignty and rights, as well as the security interests of Mauritius, are fully respected and safeguarded. Madam Speaker, having said that, let me remind the House over the last 20 years, subsequent governments have been struggling to improve connectivity by air and sea to Agaléga. All efforts so far have been in vain. Let us therefore welcome the offer of India for the yet another laudable initiative to carry out at its own cost the infrastructural works at Agaléga for its long-term socio-economic development.
Madam Speaker, I have many questions, and this may require, in fact, 2 PNQs. But this time I'll just try and get the basic information. I hope that you'll give us extra time because of the length of the answer, which for once I think was justified. Madam Speaker, firstly, I'd like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister, surely there must be an estimated cost of all this infrastructure. What is the final cost, like the Metro Léger, will come later. What is the estimated cost of all these things in Agaléga?
Well, initially, Madam Speaker, if my memory serves me right, I think around maybe 18 to 20 million US dollars were earmarked for upgrading the airstrip. But after discussions with the Indian government, we have reviewed the whole project. That is why there is this DPR, which has been worked out and has been looked at the level of the committee which I mentioned, chaired by the Minister of Local Government and the Indian High Commissioner. And therefore, it will be only after the expression of interest have been received that we will be able to know about approximately how much the cost of all these infrastructural projects will come to.
Madam Speaker, the $20 million, about 600 million rupees, the Prime Minister knows full well, was for the previous small airfield that there was there. Now we're talking about an airfield of 3 kilometers. 3 kilometers will take an A380, which will land on 2.7 kilometers. It is nearly the same length as the Présence airport, and nearly 3 times the airport of Rodrigue. What is the reason for having such a huge landing strip on such a small island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, with 300 people living there?
Well, Madam Speaker, I just said that was the initial plan, is to just upgrade this airstrip. But after discussions, we have reviewed the whole project, and we are looking especially at the very long-term development of Agaléga. And therefore, I don't see anything wrong in coming with the state-of-the-art airstrip that will be able to accommodate bigger aircrafts. Let me take the example of Rodrigues. What is happening to Rodrigues right now? The request is now to review and to upgrade the landing strip, because we can only accommodate, I think, ATR 72 only. So are we going to agree to spend millions of rupees to upgrade the airstrip, and then probably in years to come, then we will have to seek other financial support to be able to upgrade that upgraded strip? I think if we have vision, if we are farsighted, then we should know what is best that we can do now for years and years to come.
Madam Speaker, is the Prime Minister expecting a population explosion on Agaléga? Madam Speaker, the population of Mauritius, at this stage, they want to know the facts. They want to know the truth. They don't want to be hidden anything. And then everybody can take whatever decision can be taken. Does the Prime Minister really expect the population to believe of Mauritius that for 300 people living in Agaléga, we need a 3-kilometer airport, which will take, without its reserve and all that, half the island, North Island? Is that seriously what the Honourable Prime Minister hopes that we will all swallow?
Madam Speaker, I have, together with the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, been in previous governments. We know very well how those previous governments have struggled to be able to upgrade at least these facilities in Agaléga. What are the problems that the people of Agaléga have been facing in terms of aircraft to be able to land there, in terms of ship to be able to come closer for transporting goods and other materials? Now that we are able to do something on something which is really big in terms of infrastructure development, now we are being told, now why is it that it is of such a big magnitude? No, but okay, this is my opinion, because you say whether I'm going to make people swallow that. Well, what we are doing, it is going to remain for generations and generations to come for the Republic of Mauritius. And as I say, all these investments, all these infrastructural upgradings will be for the ownership of Mauritius.
I don't think anyone will swallow what the Prime Minister has just said, unfortunately, Madam Speaker. I want to ask the Prime Minister, this airport, the huge airport that we're going to have, it has to be protected somehow. It has to have protection around. Who will ensure the protection of this huge facility there? And I would also like to ask the Prime Minister, no, let's just deal with that. Who will ensure the protection of the airport?
Madam Speaker, there is a difference between an airstrip which is going to be long enough to accommodate, I mentioned the type of aircrafts that we are providing for, and a huge airport. The airport will not be like the new terminal of Présence. But definitely there's going to be building. But as I say, let us wait and then we will inform the House about the type of infrastructure for the airport development and the cost of those infrastructure. But with regard to who will control those facilities, the Mauritius port authorities will be responsible for the port, for the jetty, and the Department of Civil Aviation will, of course, together with police, Mauritian police I'm talking, will be responsible for the airport that is going to be developed.
Will the Prime Minister confirm that the previous project, which has referred to at length in his speech, is in fact a tiny project? And this can be proven easily, of a small airfield and very small facilities attached. This time, we're going to have a 3-kilometer airfield taking half the island of North Island. Can the Honourable Prime Minister not tell us really what is the use of this airfield, whether it will not be used for military planes of whatever nation to use that airfield?
As I have said, Madam Speaker, what Diego Garcia are you talking? Listen to the answer. The Leader of the Opposition has asked a question. At least show respect. You know, what we have agreed with the government of India is for implementation of a number of measures to promote, protect, and to safeguard the following maritime security and related objectives. That is for continuous surveillance and monitoring of the exclusive economic zone for the Republic of Mauritius, because we know we don't have the means, we don't have the resources for that. Counter-piracy, which is a problem. Counter-terrorism. Controlling poaching and illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. Counter-narcotics and human trafficking. Provision for hydrographic services. Promoting economic development, including the blue economy initiatives. And there again, we have a lot that we are foreseeing that will be done in the future, and so on and so forth. I can go on, but these are the objectives that have been stated between the two governments.
Can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether there will be foreign troops garrisoned permanently or some time at Agaléga?
Madam Speaker, whoever would want to come to Agaléga, just like whoever wants to come to... Let me answer. You will have time to ask your supplementary questions. Whenever there are any, whether it is troops or whoever it is, they want to come to Mauritius and use our landing strip, or they want to come to through a ship, well, they will have to ask for permission from the Mauritian authorities. And the same will apply in Agaléga. They will have to ask for permission.
I asked specifically whether there will be permanent garrisoning of foreign troops on Mauritius land in Agaléga.
It is for us to decide. We will take a decision. There's no decision as yet. You're asking me now. There's no decision now. Where's our troops? There are no troops. When the time will come when they are going to, whoever, as I say, it's not only a question of India, whoever is going to ask for permission, it will be considered by the relevant authorities, and if there are matters which concern security and other issues, it will be decided by government.
Madam, my point is to find out whether this agreement is in the interest of the Mauritius population or in the interest of the MSN. So I would ask again, what is, whether he will table, whether, it's okay, ma'am.
Order, please.
It's ordered, it's all right. Whether the Honourable Prime Minister will table today the maritime security agreement that he has signed, I expect with the approval of Cabinet.
Madam Speaker, first of all, I do things and we take decisions in the interest of the country. We don't take decisions in the interest of the party. My party is something different. I am acting in the capacity of the Prime Minister of this country and for the whole population. And people will see. People will see what is the legacy that we are going to leave when we are no more here? We'll see. We'll see. It's not for you to decide. It's for the people to decide. People will decide. So now the issue of whether who will be there permanently. Of course, we have an airport. We have a seaport. They will be manned by Mauritian officers, and whatever agreement we want to have with any government or any other party, well, we will decide in due course.
I have time to come to petrol exploration, etc. For this time, I'd like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether, as according to law, an environment impact assessment will be made on this beautiful island of Agaléga, one of the most beautiful places on earth, whether there will be an EIA for the airport and for the jetty as provided in the law.
We will do whatever is required according to the regulations.
You will not come, I trust, with a change again by regulation to exempt. Can I get that, at least that commitment from the Prime Minister, that you will not come with a regulation to exempt as from the EIA, as in the case of the Metro Express?
This is a government-to-government agreement for upgrading of those infrastructure, and as I said, government will take whatever decision is required in the light of whatever permits, licenses, and so on is required.
I understand there will be no EIA. This is what I can read between the lines. Madam Speaker, if I go to the loan now, my main issue is the guarantee at this stage. We come to all the technical issues. We don't agree, but it's okay. We can disagree. Let's look at the loan, at the guarantee for the loan. The Prime Minister has said that he's going to guarantee each tranche, I think, individually. I would like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister, what happens if in 2 years' time the Metro Express goes bankrupt, this whole SPV, the Mauritius Infrastructure Development, goes bankrupt? Who is going to pay back the loan? Will SBM also go bankrupt? Or somehow, who is going to repay back the loan to Exim Bank if in 2 years' time it goes bankrupt?
Well, the Honourable Member will be here and we will see the success of the Metro Express. I can assure him of that.
Clear to everyone that government is guaranteeing the whole $18 million loan to Exim Bank by whatever backdoor it wants to pretend it is. And this is why I wanted the Prime Minister to answer a specific question. If it goes bankrupt in 2 years' time, who is going to pay the government? The people of Mauritius, Madam Speaker, they are watching us and they want to know whether they have 30 billion rupees of loan or whatever taken on their back and they have to repay this for some Metro Express or not. This is the sort of answer that D'Alliance Le Peuple had promised to give the population when we got elected 2 years ago. It's clear in the electoral manifesto.
Speaker, I have already replied that we are going to guarantee, government will guarantee the 26 biannual installments that are going to be repaid by all the SPVs. The discussions are ongoing with those SPVs, and I have undertaken, given a commitment that once this is being signed, that will be laid on the table of this National Assembly.
Make it clear, Madam Speaker, for everyone listening, government is going to guarantee the whole 18 million repayment plus interest at 1.8% plus whatever appreciation is going to happen to the dollar over the next 20 years. Is that a clear answer? Can the Prime Minister give us that clear answer?
Well, the Honourable Minister, Honourable Leader of the Opposition should know. This is what I have just replied. We are not going against the rules of the IMF. The Handbook on Securities and Statistics says that redeemable preferential shares are classified as equity securities. Now, this is a clear answer unless he doesn't understand what it means.
I don't understand, ma'am. Really, I am lost. I admit it. They are too clever for us. They are too clever for us. Yeah, come on. You know, if it's serious stuff. Madam Speaker, the SBM publicity, whatever advertisement is, in fact, or note, communique, explains quite a few things. One of the things it says is that this beautiful SBM Infrastructure Development Company will issue preference, will seek for funds from sophisticated investors in a private placement. Now, the Securities Act, which I'm sure Honorable Jugnauth knows by heart, says here that a sophisticated investor is, would you be surprised, Madam Speaker, the government of Mauritius, a statutory authority, a company owned 100% by government, a bank, an insurer, and a few others. Will the Honorable Prime Minister tell us whether this National Investment Authority, by whatever name called, will in fact has been created so to facilitate investment of pension funds, our pension funds, our savings, into this, this SPV created en catimini, it seems.
I'm surprised. The National Investment Authority has nothing to do with this issue. We are talking about a line of credit, Madam Speaker, which we have agreed with the Indian government. I have given the details. I've given the details about how this money is going to be used. In fact, we have been very transparent in the budget speech by giving all the information of how money is going to be used from Indian, not only Indian grant, line of credit, and so on. So this is a different matter. This is for the investment committee.
I think some misunderstanding. I will have to explain to the Prime Minister that this SBM communique says that SMIDL, Infrastructure Development Limited, will also issue notes to selected sophisticated investors, we saw who they were, on a private placement basis. And my question is, given what the sophisticated investors are in fact described to be, whether the National Investment Authority will be or not concerned by investing in this SDIML. That's the question.
Madam Speaker, the mechanism is going to be like that. When the State Bank of Mauritius, the Infrastructure Fund, will advance whatever amount to an SPV, they are all SPVs that are revenue. Let me explain. You had your chance to talk. You say you're going to explain. I'm replying to your question. All these SPVs are revenue-generating institutions, and therefore they will be able to repay back in different 2 installments in a year the amount that is going to be therefore redeemed by the State Bank, and therefore that amount will be repaid through the Exim Bank of India.
Madam Speaker, how much time do we have? Last question. I think the Prime Minister hasn't understood the question. I will come back to this. I want to ask something completely different. There was a mission to Agaléga a few weeks ago by Honorable Jugnauth, I think Honorable Shiratan. Is the Prime Minister aware that on the eve of that mission, a special plane had to go to Agaléga to transport the General Manager and the Chairman of the OIDC so that they would arrange for the reception of these 2 semi-majesties? Are you aware of that? Or are you not aware also of that plane that went on the eve so that to have a royal welcome for these 2 gentlemen at the cost of the taxpayer?
Well, Madam Speaker, I am aware that the I'm aware that the Honourable Minister Jugnauth and Minister Main Siratan have in fact been to Agaléga previously, but I'm not aware that they were planning recently to. Yeah, they have been. Yeah, they have been. 2 planes. They were piloting each plane. Which one? I didn't know that. I didn't know that they qualify as pilot. But Madam Speaker, this is. I don't see why the Minister for Outer Islands, he's also responsible for Outer Islands, and the Minister of Agriculture, why is it that they should not go to Agaléga? In fact, let me say that I have been wanting to go to Agaléga, but the problem is that the plane, first of all, cannot carry more people, and secondly, for security reasons, it is not advisable, because I've just mentioned the state of the airstrip right now makes it that there is somehow an element of risk. But I hope that I can have the opportunity in the future to plan a visit to Agaléga. And I know members of the opposition have been wanting, and rightly so, they have been wanting to go to Agaléga. Probably we should make provision for also, especially the member who is responsible for the constituency of Agaléga, to be there.
But the Honourable Prime Minister will have to reply. Honourable Leader of the Opposition, I've already given you 14 additional minutes. You should understand that we have. No, but please, you may come with another question, please. Huh? Time is over. You come with another question.